I heard my mother's laugh before I saw her. It wasn't a warm laugh. It was the laugh people use when they think they've already won. "You'll love this," she said, holding my grandmother's cookbook like a trophy. My father leaned over the kitchen island, signing papers with his important pen, the one he saves for mortgages and contracts. And then he said the sentence that made my hands go cold. "Make sure the buyer gets the recipe card. The one in the back pocket." My stomach dropped. Because that recipe card wasn't a recipe. It was a key. And if they were handing it over, they weren't just selling a house. They were selling me. "My name is Mara. I'm 30. And I walked into my grandmother's kitchen to find my parents selling my inheritance and trying to sell the one thing they were never supposed to touch. They thought I was still 3,000 miles away. If you've ever had family treat your life like a family asset. Come on, nope. Just one word. My grandmother, Nona Celeste, was the calm center of my childhood. She wasn't loud about love. She didn't perform it. She just made you feel safe. I spent half my teenage years on a stool at her counter while she cooked. She taught me how to notice what people avoid saying, how the truth hides in what gets rushed, how people reveal themselves when they think no one is watching. Her cookbook wasn't a cute heirloom. It was her life in ink, notes in the margins, substitutions, warnings. When Nona passed, she left me two things: her house, paid off and modest, and that cookbook, with a note tucked inside the cover. "Don't let them sell your name." At the time, I thought she meant reputation. I understood the real meaning now, because my parents were standing in her kitchen, treating her legacy like inventory. And they weren't doing it for grief. They were doing it for control. I'm not a chef. I'm a product designer. I build packaging systems and brand identities for small companies. After Nona died, I did something I never told them. I turned one of her recipes, her citrus spice syrup, into a bottled product for boutique cafes. Then another, then another. Within a year, I had a small but growing business under a name that mattered. Celeste Kitchen, not as a cash grab, as a tribute. I trademarked it, built the packaging, built the website, built the supply chain, built the customer list, built it all, quietly. Because approval in my family is never free. And my parents had finally figured out what I'd built. A name can be worth more than a house. A name can be worth more than any object. A name can become something people try to own. 3 months ago, I left for Seoul. My biggest consulting job yet. Long days, constant meetings, the kind of schedule that turns time zones into a blur. Before I left, I visited Nona's house. My house now. I checked the locks, watered the plants, and made sure the cookbook was inside the small wall safe I built into the pantry. Yes, a safe. Because families can turn strange when money appears inside grief. I didn't expect them to crack the safe, but I expected them to do what they always do: reframe reality until it sounds like they're the heroes. My parents don't steal, they handle. They don't cross boundaries. They make hard decisions. They don't betray. They protect the family. In my family, my younger brother Evan is the future. He's been about to break through for a decade. New ventures, new pitches, new emergencies. When he loses money, my parents call it ambition. When I earn money, they call it family. So when I left the country, I should have expected them to treat my absence like permission. 2 weeks into my trip, my mother texted, "We're going by Nona's house to tidy up. It's been sitting too long." I replied later, "Please don't move anything, it's organized." She wrote back, "Don't be dramatic, we're just helping." Helping always meant I didn't get a vote. I told myself I was overthinking. I should have listened to Nona. The day I came home, it was raining hard. I pulled up to Nona's house and noticed the first thing immediately. The porch light was on. At noon. Then the second thing. A realtor sign leaned against the porch railing. Not planted, just propped, like someone didn't want attention. My heartbeat tightened. I tried my key. It didn't fit. The lock had been replaced. I stood there, staring at the knob, for one silent second. Then I heard laughter inside. My mother. I stepped away from the door, moved to the side window near the kitchen, and peeked through the curtain. That's when I saw them. My mother in her neat blouse, standing at Nona's kitchen island. My father signing a stack of papers. A stranger in a navy blazer, realtor or buyer. And on the counter, right between papers and coffee cups, was Nona's cookbook. Not in the pantry. Not in the safe. Out in the open, like merchandise. My mother held it up and said, "You'll love this." Then my father said, "Make sure the buyer gets the recipe card, the one in the back pocket." My hands went cold. I didn't burst in. Because shouting gives people like my parents the story they want. So I did the smart thing. I walked back to my car and opened my phone. I logged into my home security app. Because yes, the house had cameras too, quietly installed after she passed. My parents never knew. They don't ask about details. They assume entitlement. The camera feed loaded. There they were, in my kitchen. The stranger asked, "So the brand rights are included?" My mother nodded, like she understood business. "Yes. Everything Celeste is part of the package. Everything Celeste. They weren't just selling the house. They were trying to sell my brand. My name." The buyer asked, "And Mara approved this?" My mother smiled. Soft as poison. "She's away. We have authority." Authority. I watched my father sign another page. Calm, like it was routine. I could feel anger trying to rise. I kept it down. Anger makes you sloppy. I needed precision. I walked next door. Mrs. Patel opened her door and blinked. "Mara, you're home," I said. "Can I sit here for 5 minutes? And borrow your Wi-Fi?" She studied my face, then stepped aside. Inside her living room, I opened my laptop, and I started pulling records. Because paperwork always leaves fingerprints. I found the listing packet quickly. Not public yet. Internal. Photos of the house, property description, and a bold line that made my blood go cold. Includes Celeste Kitchen Proprietary Recipe Archive plus brand rights. They were bundling my identity, like a furniture set. Then I found the attachment. Consent. Beneficiary authorization. My name typed at the top. A signature at the bottom. That looked like mine if you didn't look too closely. But it wasn't mine. It was a costume. I didn't feel shock. I felt a quiet, dangerous calm. I called my attorney, Jade Rourke. Jade answered on the second ring. "My parents changed the locks on my house," I said. "They're inside with a buyer, selling the house, and trying to sell my brand with it. There's a forged consent form." Jade didn't gasp. She just said, "Send me everything." I forwarded the packet, the forged form, and screenshots from the camera feed. Jade asked one question. "Where's the cookbook?" "In my mother's hands," I said. "They're talking about a recipe card." Jade paused. "What recipe card?" "The one Nona warned me about," I said. "It's a key." Jade's voice turned sharp. "Do not confront them yet. If they think you're awake, they'll move faster." Then she said something that made my chest tighten. "Your grandmother wasn't naive. If she warned you, she built protections." I swallowed. "What protections?" Jade said. "First, we stop the sale. Then we separate what they think they're selling from what they can legally sell." Separate. I looked out Mrs. Patel's window at Nona's house. My parents were still inside, still signing, still smiling. And I decided I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make consequences speak. If you want stories where nice people get exposed by facts, not shouting, hit subscribe. Because the cookbook wasn't the twist. What was inside it was. I waited. Not from fear. Timing. About an hour later, the buyer and realtor left. My parents stayed. On the camera feed, I watched my mother slide the cookbook into her tote bag. Then they locked the door and drove away. I walked across the yard through the rain, went to the side entry, and typed in my keypad code. They'd changed the physical lock, but they didn't know about the keypad. I stepped inside. The house felt disturbed. Drawers open. Papers shifted. The kind of mess that says someone searched, not cleaned. I went straight to the pantry wall safe. Open. Empty. They had found it. My hands tightened, but I didn't slow down. I checked the office. The drawers. The cabinets. They'd taken anything that looked official. Then I noticed something they missed. A small tin, tucked behind cookbooks near the fridge. Nona used it for cards she didn't trust anyone with. I opened it. Inside was a plain white index card. Typed. Stamped. Celeste Kitchen Co. I flipped it over. Nona's handwriting. If you're reading this, they already tried to sell you. My stomach went cold. Then I noticed a thin slit along the bottom edge. A hidden pocket. I slid my fingernail in and pulled out something tiny. A micro SD card. Black. Unlabeled. I put it in my pocket, like it could crack if I breathed wrong. Then I left the house and went straight to Jade. Jade didn't waste time. She plugged the SD card into a secure reader and opened the files. Audio recordings, scans, screenshots, and a folder labeled simply, "If they try." Jade clicked the first audio file. My grandmother's voice filled the room. Steady, calm. "Mara, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. And your parents are doing what they always do, turning love into leverage." My throat tightened. "Celeste Kitchen is not just a name," Nona said. "It's registered, and it isn't owned the way they think." Jade paused and looked at me. "Here comes twist one," she said. She pulled out a document I'd never fully processed after the funeral. "A trademark trust," Jade explained. "Your grandmother placed the brand into a trust. You're the beneficiary." I blinked. "So my parents can't transfer the brand?" "Correct," Jade said. "They can try to sell the house, but they cannot sell Celeste Kitchen." Relief hit me. But Jade stayed focused, because then she opened another file. An email thread between my father and someone named M. Harlan. Subject: Acquisition. Celeste Kitchen. Jade's eyes narrowed. "This isn't just your parents being greedy," she said. "There's someone behind them. A third party. Pressure. Deadlines." Jade tapped the screen. "Your grandmother built a trap," she said. "Good. Because my parents only understand one language. Consequences." We stopped the sale without drama. Jade sent formal notice to the brokerage and buyer. Contested consent. Forged authorization. Trust-held trademark restrictions. Improper bundling of brand rights. In plain terms, this deal is radioactive. The buyer backed away. The brokerage panicked. My mother called me 12 times. I didn't answer. My father texted once. "Stop embarrassing us." Embarrassing. Not sorry. 2 days later, my parents showed up at my apartment. My mother walked in like she still owned my air. My father stayed behind her, jaw tight. And my brother Evan stood there, with a tense, practiced smile. "Mara," my mother said sweetly, "you're overreacting." "You forged my consent," I said. My father flinched almost invisibly. Evan looked down for half a second. My mother didn't blink. "We had to act," she said. "The house was sitting. The brand was stagnating. We found a buyer. We were helping." "Helping," Evan cut in, impatient. "You're messing up a big opportunity," he said. "It's a clean exit. You can start fresh." A clean exit. They wanted me erased from my own legacy. I looked at Evan. "Why do you care?" I asked. He hesitated, then said, "Because it affects all of us." There it was. They considered my work family property. My mother stepped closer. "Just sign the paperwork," she said. "You can still keep a piece of my grandmother's name." I stared at her. "No," I said quietly. My father's voice turned cold. "You're being difficult." I almost smiled. "Difficult is what people call you, when you stop being easy to exploit." Then my father asked, low and direct, "Where is the cookbook?" So they didn't just want it for the buyer. They needed what was inside. I said, "Not here." My mother narrowed her eyes. "You're hiding things." "No," I replied. "I'm protecting them from you." As they left, my mother snapped one line that confirmed everything. "It's too late anyway. He's already expecting delivery." He, not the buyer. Someone behind them. We found Harlan fast. A brand aggregator. The kind of company that buys heritage brands, repackages them, sells the story at triple price. Harlan offered my parents an advance. Big. If they delivered 2 things within 10 days. The property sale and the proprietary recipe archive. The house and the myth. And to sell the myth, they needed the recipe card. They didn't know about the trust. Or they assumed the trust could be bullied. They also didn't know about Nona's second layer. Because inside the SD card folder was a short instruction file. If they try, 4 steps. Notify buyer's counsel of trust restrictions. File injunction on brand misuse. Trigger the reversion clause. Release the video. Jade looked up. Video? She opened the file. Nona, sitting at her kitchen table, looking straight into the camera. Calm, certain. Jade's mouth tightened slightly. Twist 2, she said. We didn't go public. Not yet. Public without proof is noise. We built proof. Jade filed a brand injunction against any unauthorized transfer attempts. We notified the buyer's counsel. The buyer stayed far away. Then Jade triggered the reversion clause inside the trust. If any family member attempted to transfer or license Celeste Kitchen without beneficiary consent, the trust would permanently bar them from administrative roles, forfeit any bequests tied to the brand. Transfer control to a culinary scholarship foundation Nona supported quietly, not to me, to a third party, because Nona knew something about families like mine. If you leave room for negotiation, they will negotiate your life. A week later, my father demanded a meeting through Jade's office. Jade scheduled it. Glass-walled conference room, reception outside, witnesses. My parents arrived with Evan. My mother sat down like she was about to correct an employee. My father stood behind the chair, arms crossed. Evan looked restless. Jade placed trust documents on the table. Let's be efficient, she said. My mother started. Mara is being emotional. Jade cut her off calmly. No, Mara is being factual. Jade slid the forged consent form across the table. Then screenshots from the camera feed. Then Harlan's email thread. My mother's expression shifted. My father's jaw tightened. Now the room held their true motive. Money. My father muttered. This is private correspondence. Jade smiled slightly. Not when it's part of a scheme. My mother snapped. Where is the recipe card? I said. Safe. My father leaned forward. We need it, he said. Need means deadline. Need means pressure. I asked quietly. Who is Harlan? My mother's eyes flicked to my father. My father said, It doesn't matter. Jade's voice stayed calm. Here's what matters. You tried to sell what you can't legally sell. My mother insisted. We have authority. Jade replied, Authority over the house does not equal authority over the trademark trust. Then Jade said the word that finally cracked their confidence. Forfeiture. My mother blinked. Forfeiture of what? Jade slid one final document across the table. My parents stared. Then my mother's face drained of color. Because the document wasn't about the sale. It was about them. Nona left them modest bequests, conditional on non-interference. They interfered. So it was gone. Transferred to the Scholarship Foundation. My father's voice thinned. She can't do that. Jade replied, She did. Evan's face tightened. Wait, what? He asked. This affects me? Jade looked at him. Yes, because you participated. Evan turned toward my parents, furious. You said this was fine. My mother snapped at him. Don't start. And right there, behind glass walls, they cracked into blame and panic. Jade leaned back and said, We haven't even discussed the video. My mother What video? Jade looked at me. Mara, do you want to release it? My mother's eyes softened instantly. False relief. I said, Not yet. She exhaled. Then I added, But I will, if you try again. Her relief died. My father narrowed his eyes. You wouldn't, I said calmly. You taught me what people do when they think there are no consequences. Now you get to learn what happens when there are. If you've ever needed permission to choose yourself over family peace, share this story with someone who needs that reminder. And subscribe if you want more smart stories where consequences actually land. Harlan didn't disappear quietly. When the sale failed and the brand transfer didn't happen, he sent threats through polite emails. Jade replied with facts. Facts don't flinch. Then Harlan tried a different move. He launched a Celeste-inspired product line anyway, using stolen photos from the broker packet. He couldn't buy the brand, so he tried to imitate it. That's when Twist 2 delivered the final punch, because Nona built a kill switch. Inside the trust was a clause. Any attempt to counterfeit the brand during an active transfer dispute triggers immediate release of Nona's recorded statement, plus a packaged evidence file, timestamps, forged consent, email thread, camera stills. Jade didn't go viral. She sent the packet to Harlan's legal team, the brokerage compliance department, and the platforms hosting the counterfeit listing. Within 24 hours, the listing vanished. Within days, the brokerage opened an investigation. And my parents' helpful story collapsed under proof. My mother called me crying, real crying this time. You ruined us, she said. I sat on my couch, holding Nona's cookbook in my lap. I didn't feel triumph. I felt relief. You ruined you, I replied quietly. I just stopped cleaning up after it. My father got on the phone next. We're still your parents, he said. I held the cookbook tighter. No, I said. You're people who had access. Evan's voice came through, panicked. I can fix it, he said. Just sign something. We'll make it right. Make it right? With what? Another lie? I said. I'm done being the person who fixes what you break. By stepping on me. Then I ended the call. Not loudly. Finally. A month later, I stood alone in Nona's kitchen. The house was fully back under my control. New locks, updated security, paperwork sealed. Jade secured a court-recognized order confirming the trademark trust and invalidating the forged consent. The Scholarship Foundation received the forfeited bequests, exactly as Nona designed. My parents didn't get to bargain their way back into access. They lost the one thing they worship, the ability to rewrite the story. I opened Nona's cookbook to the back pocket. Empty now. The recipe card was safe. Not because it was valuable in cash, because it proved Nona saw me, believed me, and refused to leave me unarmed. That afternoon, I made her citrus spice syrup, the first time since she passed. The kitchen smelled like orange peel and warm sugar. I stirred slowly, steady, setting my own tempo. I thought about the note. Don't let them sell your name. Now I understood. In families like mine, your name becomes something people try to trade, attach to their pride, convert into money. But here's the truth. If your family only loves you when they can profit from you, they don't love you. They rent you. And when you stop being rentable, they call you selfish. Let them. Selfish is better than erased. I put the cookbook back on the shelf, locked the pantry safe, and turned off the light. Not out of fear, out of clarity. They tried to sell my inheritance. They tried to sell my identity. They thought the cookbook was a map to treasure. They didn't realize it was a trap. And when the trap closed, it didn't just protect me, it exposed them. So I kept the recipe card. I kept the name, and I kept the door closed.